Hi.
Before this video starts, I just wanted to say that I released a splice pack with Moment recently. It's called You Can Do Anything. It has 279 samples, 16 presets. I spent a lot of months working on it. I'm gonna link it in the description below if you want to check it out. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. I think you'd get a lot of good use out of it. Alright, now on with the video. So today I wanted to share the sub bass that I use in all of my songs. I've probably spent like 3 hours total in this synth patch. This is what it sounds like, by the way. And it's got a bunch of features that like completely change the tone. And it's got stereo width too, like mono compatible stereo width. And of course noise. And this handy little harmonics series macro. Rather than break down this exceedingly complicated patch step by step, I'm gonna give away the patch, and I'm also going to explain by macro exactly what's going on, so that you know how to replicate these techniques in your own sub basses. First things first, we have the pitch attack. This controls how much of the attack there is, and this controls how fast it is. These are mostly linked to this envelope. Envelope 2 is on every single oscillator, going to 64 semitones, which I believe is 5 octaves, and then the time is linked to the decay here. I have that going up to 350 milliseconds, because any longer and it's just... like, why would you need it to go that far? And then we have the distortion amount. Just classic tube distortion. I have it on the oscillators instead of in the effects. Pretty self-explanatory. The noise, I'm actually doing something kind of interesting with the noise. I'm not sure if most people are aware of this, but you can use oscillators to modulate parameters at audio rate. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this sub-oscillator that isn't even playing actually. You can't hear this in the final patch. I drag the sub-oscillator over to the level of the noise, and then it controls and makes the noise go up and down according to the sign, so you get that nice crunchy tone that you're looking for. Combined with the sub, it like just sounds so much warmer and more textured. So I'm doing that. In the matrix, I have it so that the sub oscillator is auxiliary source of macro 4. So this macro 4 controls the final amplitude of the noise. Since we're doing so much distortion on the main oscillators later, it makes sure the noise stays nice and consistent. Alright, next we have the roll-off knob, which is basically just a low-pass filter. I mean, if you go in here, it's just equalizer, high shelf, and the high shelf is regressing down to around 150 when it's maxed out. It's pretty simple. Then we got the harmonics. Something very interesting is happening here. Basically, this isn't a normal sine wavetable. Rather, this is 3 wavetables in one cross-faded wavetable. The first one has a little even harmonic added. The last one has a couple odd harmonics added, so it sounds a lot more square. Basically, the reason you would do this is the even harmonics have more of a saw tone, it's more melodic, whereas the odd harmonics have a square tone. They're a lot more like full and atonal. So it's just nice to have like a dial to switch between those, although it comes by default just a normal sine wave. I'm gonna go ahead and skip macro 7 for now because it makes a lot more sense after we do macro 8. Now macro 8 is a stereo width knob, and it's completely mono compatible between both ears. The way I'm doing this is via the quadrature technique. You've probably seen this discussed in Phonon's sub video or AU5's sub video. The concept behind the quadrature technique is you have 2 sine waveforms that are basically identical in every single way, including the random phase of both of these is turned to 0, so they start at the exact same position every single time. However, the left oscillator panned 50 to the left, the right oscillator is panned 50 to the right, and oscillator B, while oscillator A stays stagnant, oscillator B can change from a phase of 0 all the way to 90, depending on how wide you want the sub. And then last but not least, we have the bias knob. This one's pretty fun. This is me trying to replicate the effect of the spread knob in kilohertz distortion. So, in case you aren't aware what that is, kilohertz distortion has a knob called spread, and when you turn it up, it applies different amounts of bias to the left and right channels, creating stereo sub, but in a much crunchier, more sawtone-like way. I have bend plus and minus on both main oscillators. By default, it's set to the middle, and as you turn the knob left or right, The bend plus on one oscillator goes up, and the bend minus on the other oscillator goes down. So it's these harmonic discrepancies that create like a nice wide sawtone sound. As far as effects, I figure I should probably get into that right now. That's the roll off. This soft clip is set to 50%. That's just to maximize it a little further. Yeah, this utility right here has its level automated by LFO2, which is already set to max, but if you turn it down, you get that classic wobbling movement. And I think that's just very useful to have, like, as a quick control. Oh, one more thing. LFO1 is linked to the coarse pitch of all the oscillators, so you can do this very easily sub-pitch movement. Combined with the volume, I just like to have, like, super control over the volume and pitch of the sub. Next, we have the second utility, which is just blasting it by 12 dB, and then this compressor, which is set to safety limiter mode, the threshold all the way up. That just makes sure the sub hits at a perfect 0 decibels and it doesn't exceed 0. And that's almost everything. There's one more thing. I have this mod wheel. The mod wheel is connected to oscillator C, and oscillator C is the harmonic series smooth wavetable that comes with Serum. This by itself just kind of sounds like it's very annoying by itself, but in tandem with the other effects, that's just Skrillex. It's just Skrillex. That's basically everything. I'm gonna give away the patch in the description. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next video if I ever make more videos. Thank you very much for watching.